Hey guys, it's Justin here with another work in progress video. This one's not going to be much of a work in progress video. It's going to be more of a talk about what I've done video because I have blasted through a lot of this. I spent the night hanging out with some of my friends on Discord, and we just, we all got super productive. We all just knocked our stuff out, and I got a ton of painting done, so I'm going to show you what I've done. So in the last video we talked about the weapons. They are totally complete now, so assembled, panel lined, the whole deal. Go ahead and see those nice crisp lines. Lots of masking, lots of color separation going on. I painted all the pistons, all that stuff. I painted the piston that's inside of here that gets hidden away. Some of the little ringlets and things like that. I try not to get super busy with it, but I did want to have some of that popping. Same thing with this guy, pretty much identical, same kind of accents, same style. Didn't go super crazy with it, but I wanted it to look good. So before I show you what I've painted, I'll show you what I have left to paint, and that is all this metallic stuff. The whole frame needs to be painted. That's pretty much it. There's some masking that needs to be done on some of these parts, but for the most part, we're finished on the main colors. So here's a couple of tan pieces, or the cream colored pieces, for the majority of the armor. We got a skirt here. This is going to be that little hatch detail we painted. I'm not sure if I'm going to go steel or like a nice strong like an orange. There's the back of the thigh. Again, just really nice post shade kind of tan color. Here is the back of the arm guard. Again, there's another latch detail. There's some smaller ones here. I think there's like a little vent thing right up here. So there's lots of little details on this one that can be picked out and played with. Here's the side of the arm, or the front of the arm. That little vent will be masked. There's a little vent right here that's going to get masked. I don't think I'm going to go super crazy on this, just because the piece itself is kind of busy enough. But those vents are getting masked and painted. Front of the thigh. Don't think I'm going to do any masking on all that. That tends to look really silly if you overdo it. And then here's like the side of the thighs, or not the side of the calves. They've got some little vents up top. So all these vents and stuff are going to get picked out and masked and painted and all that. Not going to do anything else with this. This is one of the pieces that's just finished. So that'll be gloss coated once it's all sub-assembled and I can decal it. As for greens, we've got a nice post-shaded dark green onto a lighter green. It's already a little glossy, so it might take decals pretty good, but I'll probably throw a gloss coat on it anyway, just because I like to make sure that everything is going to work the way it's supposed to. Not really any masking that needs to go on that. Fortunately, there's not a ton of green pieces, so I think we're actually kind of in the clear on that, although the tops of these shoulders have these little kind of rails. Those are getting painted steel for sure. And I've finally decided what I was doing with my red pieces. So I'll take a few of these and show you what I've got. I am quite pleased with it. I believe my client will be pleased as well, because I think this looks super dope, and really helps kind of sell the this is going to be an angry, like, mean mobile suit. I went with a dark gray. Really mutes down a lot of what you've got going on. And it's a really nice change from that kind of red orangey color that it was molded in. I'm still going to mask this little, like I said, that rail is going to be steel. I think that would really look nice in that color. This little flap thing right here is going to be either steel or aluminum. So all these have little rails on them. And then what I went ahead and did is I kind of mocked up one of the pieces. I have basically finished this piece just so I could kind of demo what the colors look like together, and what the final product is going to sort of look like. So here's my colors. There is the dark grays, the greens, the cream color, and then some light chipping around the kit. There we go. I did use the eye stickers just because I didn't want to paint all the metallics and then flat them and then them kind of come out looking crappy. So I'll keep that reflectiveness, but when I put that final flat coat on, it's going to dull that down a little bit. I think that'll look fine. So like I said, what's left is the frame and these missiles. These are the only red bits that are going to be on the kit, are these missiles. But all this is going to be painted and then masked and then painted and masked, and I'm going to try and I'm not going to go like super hard on it. Like I'll probably pull out some of these details on this skirt here, on the back of the skirt. But I don't think I'm going to go super crazy on it. And like all this is probably just going to be one color, where the thigh is going to cover this, but there is a sliding piston, so I'll do some stuff with that because that gets poked out if you bend it. Thigh gets mostly covered up, so I might paint like this circular detail here, but I'm not going super nuts with it. Some of these knee pistons I might, and then I think the only real obscure detail that's going to get painted is going to be these things. They go inside the calves. And I think I'm going to do like maybe like a two-tone silver and then some steel. So I'll probably paint the whole thing steel and then mask off what I want to keep steel, which will probably just be like the bottom and this little bit that sticks out. Do some silvers and then hit with like a nice flat black wash, and really help those colors pop. But that's what I've got so far. So I think in this video I'll try and set it up so we can get a little painting going. If I can get my camera to go over there, because the camera I have set up at my paint station right now really sucks, and the quality is just not very good. So if I can swing it, I'll do it. If not, we'll come back and review some frame parts and see how that looks. But hopefully you guys are excited about this as I am, because that, especially with the chipping that I did wherever that piece just went, it came out a lot nicer than I expected it to. Got some really nice subtle variation going on there. I'm really happy with it. So I'm gonna keep pushing along and see if we can get something that looks super good. So I'll see you guys in a few with some new stuff. Alright, so what I've done is I tried to make this a little bit more manageable. I broke these parts into two categories. That would be the paints, or the parts that were not going to be masked at all. So if I have to do hand painting, that's one thing, but like I'm not going to mask off a piston. That's just not going to happen. So all these parts are painted now. They are all painted the metallic color that I want them to be, and they can be put over here. And what I'm left with is the small handful of metallics that need to be masked. And a lot of this is like some of the more detailed pieces. The ankle piece with that piston and bolt detail on the front and the side. We've got the elbow joint with a little bit of detail going on in there. I'm not going to go super crazy on this one. I'm just trying to think of a good place to throw a little bit of extra color. I'll probably just do like this little back panel here, maybe copper. The pistons on the shoulders, I think could really benefit from this. Maybe like a copper cap over here, maybe a little bit of copper here, and then throw that aluminum down. I think we'll be ready to rock with that. Skirts, probably just going to blast it with steel, mask off this middle section, paint the entire pipe aluminum, and then let some copper detail go. Bottom of the feet, Probably going to be, again, hard steel with some aluminum accents. With my RM strike, I did kind of like dual layering on some of these little pieces here. I went a little too crazy with the feet on mine, but I think I might do copper for the thrusters and then some aluminum for these little like trapezoid looking things. Maybe even this little piece in the back, and then just blast the whole rest of it with steel. You know, this probably could have gone in the other pile because I'm probably not going to mask this, but that's fine. One piece is not a deal breaker by a long shot. Same kind of deal with this. Just pick out some of these details a little bit and start picking some colors. This is going to be a weird one. I think I might just do like an aluminum cap on this and call it. Maybe I'll copper this little thing at the front. Just want to pick a panel or two out of this as well. A lot of this is going to be kind of simple. I think these are going to be really a couple different colors, but you know, I'm not trying to go super crazy on a lot of these details that aren't ever going to see the light of day. So I'll probably do like one frame build up shot once everything's all done, and like post a couple pictures of it, of the frame, and then kind of come back and armor it up, and then we'll see what he looks like all together. I've already shown off all the armor pieces for everybody, so you know what that all looks like. But yeah, so far so good. You know, it's just a matter of getting everything where I want it to be, and really picking out those metals and picking out those details and stuff like that, so that they can look the way that I want them to. There's a lot of really cool details on this kit, and I'm trying to find a nice balance between like showing them off and not just having like a really busy looking kit just for the sake of like masking all this detail off. And that is the ultimate struggle, is like finding that midpoint, because you can very easily go from like a really nice tasteful looking piece to like every single one of these little panels is a different color and it just looks really weird for no reason. So that's kind of what I go for. That's like the mindset I come into. And I'll probably actually, like, once I spray a base coat on these, I'll probably come back and maybe I'll do a little bit of like explaining my thought process behind masking off my metallics, and the order that I typically try to go in and stuff like that. Generally, I can say this much right now off the top of my head, is like generally the goal is to mask as easily as possible, so not worrying about like I try not to throw a whole bunch of masking tape on like one little piece to mask like a tiny little square. Sometimes it's easier to just mask the little square off. So you'll paint that part first, mask it, and then paint everything else. But it really depends on what kind of detail it is. Like on this one, I could very easily paint this the aluminum color that I want it to be, and then mask that off, and then paint the whole rest of this piece. But this is a raised detail, so if I just throw a piece of tape on the top of this, the sides of this piece is still going to get, you know what I mean? So it makes more sense to paint it the base color, tape it off, and then paint that on its own. So we'll get more into that in a little bit. But I'm going to go lay down a base coat on all these, and we're going to see what we look like. And then once I have like a base metal down, it becomes a little easier to kind of visualize where I want everything at. So we'll be right back. Alright, so for the sake of demonstration, I just went ahead and sprayed a handful of pieces, just to kind of show off some of the different ways that you could go about masking some of these details off. So we'll start with probably the most basic piece that you'll encounter. This is the bottom of the foot. This is all painted alclad steel. It's a nice dark tone. It's got like a little, just a pinch of like a brass or a copper to it. It's a really dark metal. A lot of people kind of refer to this as gunmetal. This is steel. So there you go. You can get a look at that. It's really nice. It's really shiny. It's a really nice frame color. That's what I think anyway. So the most common thing you're going to do is just throw some tape down. So what I'm going to do here is I'll take some tape, lay it down here on my workstation, and if I can figure out what I do with my knife, there it is. And then I'm going to take another strip of slightly larger tape. I like to keep 2 or 3 different sizes down just in case I need to mask like a larger area off. This just saves me a little bit of time instead of having to like go and look for it. And then when I start to get kind of low, I'll put out another strip so you can see there's some down here already, but just so you can see it a little better. Okay, so in my head, the bottom of the foot has a ton of these little panels on it. So right away, I know that I want these panels here and here to be aluminum. I'm thinking this one here in the middle, and then this piece on the toe. I think that's all I'm gonna do. Now there's a million different ways you can do this. You can try measuring your tape out and do all kinds of crazy stuff. What I like to do, let me get this down a little bit closer for you. With this cord some. See if I can get in there so you can actually see it. There we go. I'm gonna try and kind of guesstimate the distance between those 2 middle pieces first. So we're gonna go ahead and just grab that, pull that up, and we're gonna just kind of stick that right against that border. And that's pretty good. I think you know, that's pretty close. If I really wanted to, I could take this little scrap piece here because it was a little crooked and just stick that right up against that one a little more, just to make sure that there's no like little sliver that sticks through. And then I'm going to pick out some other like the horizontals here. So this, and just wrap it around. Then I will start to make borders for what is actually being masked off. Now where this goes up here, I can just cut this out, or I can just push it back with the knife. It'll be fine, one way or the other. Just try not, like, don't obviously like bear down super hard on it if you're going to use the knife, but if you have to push it back a little bit, it'll be okay. But just kind of keep it on that edge a little bit, and it'll be fine. So that little piece right here is already mostly masked off. So the way I like to work is I like to work from the borders out. So I kind of like frame everything up, and then I'll lay down the rest of my tape. This is such a time-consuming process. I know why a lot of people don't like to mask, but it really adds a lot of definition to what you're doing, and you will definitely see the fruits of that labor pay off tenfold. You know, just even on something simple like the bottom of the foot here. Like you will almost never see this, but it's all about presentation. Like, you never know when you're going to take a picture and the bottom of the foot might just be kind of peeking through a little bit, or maybe you'll put it in like a flying pose and the bottom of the feet will be visible. You know, I like to make sure that anything that is molded on this kit is done justice in some way or another. So you can see that there's a ton of panels here that you could You could have done this a totally different way than I did. You could have gone a completely different direction with this. And it might look better. It might look worse. It's really a lot up to personal taste. This is just the way I decided to do it this time. And so far, I'm already incredibly happy with how it's coming out. So now that I've got all my borders picked out, so there's 1, there's 2, that one's done. 3 and 4, what I'll do is I'll cut like a larger piece of tape. I'll cut that in half. And I'm just going to lay this right there. And that's done. Same thing with the other side. That's done. With this one, we're going to cut 2 or 3 of these. I'm just going to kind of like stick this in the middle here. And then we're gonna stick that in there, and that's good enough. And you can kind of follow that for the rest of this. So for this, we'll just take one more of these. We'll cut it into 2 or 3. And just kind of lay it over so that it covers everything. Huzzah! We are done. Now there is this little bit of a weird lip thing right here. I'm just going to cut that in a little tiny piece. Just lay that across there so it's nice and smooth, it's flat, and we're ready to rock. So that, all that stuff that's sticking out will be another color next time you see this piece. And that's kind of like the gist of masking right there. Now there's some pieces that can be a little bit more complicated. These 2 pieces kind of follow a different sort of rule. So what I did with this one, and this one as well, I just painted the silver that I wanted to be, or the aluminum that I wanted to be aluminum, and that's it. So this one I can use tape, or I can do something else. Just for the sake of, again, demonstration, I'm just going to use the tape. So let's find a good spot here. Let's cut this in half. So we'll cut it this way, and we'll cut it one more time, and we're going to need more than that, so let's cut that real quick. And then what I'm going to do is pull that up. I'm going to try and stick that in here. And once you start to wrap it, it'll come right off. And then just flatten it out. Stick it around inside here, and I'm going to leave that little piece kind of out a little bit because that'll make it easier to remove the tape later. And then I can go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So just kind of get it in there, wrap it around, flatten it up, and then that's good enough. That will be covered. So now that piston is masked off, and then I can just pull that tape off, and it's done. No problem. With this one, I could go ahead and put I could cut this little thing into a square, stick that on there, and then cut that all out. But it's a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work. Now what I can do with this is I can lay this across here like that, and go ahead and stick one on the back. And that'll work. That's nice and easy for that. But what about the sides, Justin? Well, that's what I was going to get into next, was using liquid mask. I don't have like actual legit modeling liquid mask. I have this kind of crappy art masking fluid that I got from Walmart. And I have discovered that this is literally the exact same thing as this. This is Woodland Scenics Latex Rubber. It comes in a big old jar, and it's a lot easier to get into and get out of than than that one. And I just take like a toothpick, get some on there. I got way too much, but and I just kind of rub it along what I want to mask. And when that dries, it will dry totally clear. Sometimes it kind of dries like a yellowy clear. It's kind of like the color of like a rubber band. And I just try, I start in the middle and I just slowly work my way out. So that I can, you don't want to go too far, like I messed up right there. That's fine. But what I do is I will push that up against this edge as close as I can get it. It might not be exact, but this is kind of tucked away, so I'm not going to sweat it. The circle details like this are a little easier because you can just kind of dab a big blob of it and then just kind of move it around. And if you get a little bit in the panel, that's fine. A wash will fix all that. There we go. So to fix it, what you can do is you just take a knife and you just sort of get really close up to it and just pull it away. And because what you're masking this time around, well, really all the time, is what's going to be stay that color. If you scratch a tiny bit of paint here, it doesn't matter because it's going to be painted again anyway. So what you do is you just let that dry, and once it is dry, you go ahead and paint it again, and then you can peel all this latex rubber off, and it's done. You know, it'll stay that color. Now sometimes it helps to do more than one coat of this stuff. Like do like one coat like this, let it dry, and then do one more light coat, because sometimes you might have like a little spot that will not actually be the color you want it or whatever. So if you want to be extra cautious, that's the way to go. But this is going to be 3 colors. I'm actually going to paint these pistons, and then I'll probably throw just masking tape over top of this, and the rest will be the steel color that I want to do. So I'm going to make a cut. We'll come back when all this is done, and then we can talk about what we're going to do with the rest of the kit and how we're going to proceed from here, from completion. But there's a couple different ways you can do masking. They all work. You know, each one has a better use than the other. You just have to find what works best for where you're trying to mask, and go from there. So I'll be back and we'll wrap this video up. Alright, so here's what it looks like when it's all done. I left one that still needs to be unmasked, so you know, a lot of people use tweezers and stuff like that. Sometimes I do. Let's grab this. I would say my good tweezers, but these are really busted. So this just kind of helps you get into nooks and crannies and stuff a little better, and you can you know, get a good grip on what you're trying to do. I got a pair of reverse tweezers, and they don't really seem to do the trick as well. I mean, they work. It's just there's not as much pressure. You can't apply as much pressure. So I would show you the other pieces as well, but they are 3-layered metallics, so they've still got some paint to be put down on them. But I did these real quick just to show you what it looks like and how I do it. Sometimes I think I said before, sometimes you might have to throw a wash down, especially if you're going to use liquid mask, because liquid mask, it'll it'll leave a nice clean edge, but it might not be like a straight edge where you want it. So as long as you get as close as you can get before you let it dry or whatever, you know, you can throw a little panel line on it and it'll help kind of discern that line a little bit. Come on, get up. There we go. And there we have it. So, and there's panel lined and unpanel lined. You can see the little bit of definition that makes. It's not a ton, but you know, it helps. So, I'm going to wrap this video here. I think this is a really good stopping point. When we come back next time, hopefully the mobile suit will be finished. I'm hoping to wrap that up today. And then next time we will get into weathering a little bit. Like you saw with the head, I'm just kind of gonna go with some chipping. I'm not gonna go like super crazy here, just chipping here and there. Bring out a little contrast, make it look nice and dirty, nice and gritty. Add a little bit of realism to it. The reason I test chipped the head, I don't know if I said this or not, but I wasn't gonna put any decals on the head. The heads are kind of small. I guess I could have put like a decal like on the side of here, or like on the back of this thing or something like that, but I didn't really feel like it. So the rest of this is going to be decaled up, and then I'm going to weather it. So before I get into weathering, we'll do one more video. I think the next video will be the last video. We're going to talk about all the weathering effects I'm going to do to it. I'll show off some of that. We'll talk about some of the chipping methods I'm going to use and some of the other stuff that I'm going to do to it. Because there's a little bit of masking left to do on the armor as well, but it's not anything too crazy. It's all pretty manageable. Lots of little squares and stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Later. Alright guys, and today's build feature comes from X. It's my friend Scott. This is his Re 1/100 Ifrit. I imagine this is the Ifrit custom. X on his Instagram and Facebook. I don't know if he uses other social media, but I imagine if he does. Oh, and Twitch. You know, go give him a follow. So here's some WIP pictures. It looks like nice silver with some black wash thrown in there. It looks a little weathered, like a kind of glittery black gloss effect going on here. It looks really nice. Nice flats on the blues and the reds. Really cool looking. Or actually, that looks like it's got like some sort of glitter effect to it as well, because this looks nice and glossy. So I think he went with like a mixed finish. Here's the leg. Hand painted some details in there, the black and the yellow thruster. Some of that silver, some nice panel lining going on there. And then a standing shot, no arms yet. Painted all the missile pods and the thrusters. That nice, whatever he's doing with the metals looks really nice. I really like that. It's a really kind of unique look. Got the glitter effect going on with his weapons, and then you can see the shoulders are nice and glossy. Black spikes painted in there, looking good. And then a nice, real strong looking shot of the model, all finished and professionally lit. Really cool stuff, Scott. So go ahead, there's another chance to look at his stuff. Go ahead and give him a follow and a like. He posts a lot of models. He's been doing a lot more modeling here lately, so go ahead and give him some love. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and again, if you want to see your builds featured at the end of my videos, there's a link down below to a Google box or a Google Doc. Go ahead and fill that out, and I'll do my best to get you on here. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon. Later.